5D Mystery School.
This video could be triggering to a few, so if you have strong Christian views that you do not want tested, you might want to go ahead and keep scrolling, my G. Alright, so I made a video a few years ago mentioning that the entity Lucifer and Jesus could actually be the same person. I'm not making any definite claims here, I'm just asking you to utilize critical thinking skills. And remember, for those who know, everything that you were taught is inverted. So let me take you to this astrological wheel. So you can see the Aries sigil, the Pisces sigil, the Scorpio sigil, the Virgo sigil. All of these constellations can be narrowed down to a certain sigil, even though within the constellations you have other main stars like Betelgeuse and Orion, okay? Now, side note, remember at the end of the first Betelgeuse when that hunter made Betelgeuse's his head small? Look up the mythology of Orion and Artemis. So basically you can see that these sigils become part of people's personality, meaning that Cancer makes somebody emotional. Like the first thing that people think about when they think about Cancer is, oh, you like to cry a lot. So these sigils, these signs come with certain emotions that play out in the personality of a host. All right, so follow along. Beelzebub was an angel, more specifically a seraphim, who was once under the archangel Gabriel and referred as a Philistine deity named Baal-zebub. Baal. Where does that name show up in our reality? Anyway, let's continue. Beelzebub or Baal-zebub, also spelled Beelzebul or Beelzebuth, and occasionally known as Lord of the Flies, is a name derived from a Philistine god formerly worshipped in Ekron. In some Abrahamic regions, he is described as a major demon. The name Beelzebub is associated with the Canaanite god Baal, Lord of Flies, okay? I would typically do an extended side note of why mosquitoes really take your blood, but we're not going to go there. We're going to stay focused. Let's keep it going. He is known in demonology as one of the 7 deadly demons or 7 princes of hell, Beelzebub representing gluttony and envy. Can malevolent demons take the form of parasites? Think of what parasites can make people do once they are affected. The Greek terms do not have any connotations of evil or malevolence. In fact, eudaimonia, which literally translates as good-spiritedness, means happiness, okay? Going down to the highlighted section. Like pagans, Christians still sensed and saw the gods in their power, and as something they had to assume, lay behind by an easy traditional shift of opinion, they turned these pagan daemons into malevolent demons. Far into the Byzantine period, Christians eyed their city's old pagan statuary as a seat of the demon's presence. It was no longer beautiful, it was infested. The use of the word demon as synonym for devils goes back at least as far as about 825. The German word Damen, however, is different from devil, Teufel, and demons, I don't know if I said that word right, and demons as evil spirits and akin to the original meaning of daemon. The Western modern era conception of a demon, as in the Ars Goetia, derives seamlessly from the ambient popular culture of late antiquity. Sorry, y'all, it's a lot of reading, but for this, you could just pause to read it. I'm going to spare you. But some important highlights. Both deities and demons can act as intermediaries to deliver messages to humans. However, the magical writings indicate that ancient Egyptians acknowledged the existence of malevolent demons by highlighting the demon names with red ink. The existence of demons can be related to the realm of chaos beyond the created world. Order out of chaos. Go and check out my lecture, all of them, but go check out, I believe it's Exit the Matrix, The Sims, where I expand on this. But order for this realm out of the realm of chaos. If this realm is made out of vibration, then what do you believe the signature from the realm of chaos is? Think of your thumbprint, think of tidal waves, think of tornadoes, Fibonacci sequence. Guardians are tied to a specific place. Their demonic activity is topographically defined, and their function can be benevolent towards those who have the secret knowledge to face them. Demons protecting the underworld may prevent human souls from entering paradise. An example would be Anubis. protecting the Egyptian underworld. Only by knowing the right charms is the deceased able to enter into the halls of Osiris. Charm: to recite or cast a magic spell. To enchant: to fill someone with desire for something. To protect, cure, treat, to maltreat, harm. Song, verse, enchantment, religious formula. A song, a verse, okay? So to get into the halls of Osiris, now remember, Osiris, the sun went to the underworld every single night to battle this big snake. He emerged back into the world as a scarab beetle, the story of Osiris. So the halls of Osiris is the resting place of the sun, okay? Here, the aggressive nature of the guardian demons is motivated by the need to protect their abodes and not by their evil essence. Many of them serve as executioners for the major deities such as Ra or Osiris, when ordered to punish humans on Earth or in the netherworld. Wanderers can also be agents of chaos arising from the world beyond creation to bring about misfortune and suffering without any divine instructions, led only by evil motivations. The influences of wanderers can be warded off and kept at borders of the human world by the use of magic. A subcategory of wanderers are nightmare demons, which were believed to cause nightmares by entering a human body. A succubus is a supernatural entity or female demon that appears in dreams to seduce men, typically through sexual activity. The male equivalent of a succubus is an incubus. This next part is important, and I'll tie it in a second. Some folklore suggests that a succubus requires semen to survive, and that repeated sexual activity with a succubus will create a bond between the two. The succubus and incubus topic, this can be made into a whole different lecture. I'm going to tie this in just because I truly believe that the first Beetlejuice and the second one are completely underrated films, and if you really use your eyes to see, it's deeper than the Matrix. What kind of demon is Beetlejuice? Ghost. Now that we know Beetlejuice is a ghost, he has a wide range of supernatural abilities, with his most famous powers being levitation, flight, and telekinesis. In Possession. Spoiler alert, cover your ears. There was a scene in Beetlejuice where Beetlejuice was able to conceive a child through Lydia Deeds without intercourse. The virgin birth is a Christian and Islamic doctrine that states that Jesus was conceived by Mary through the power of the Holy Spirit without sexual intercourse. Moving right along. Why can't Beetlejuice say his own name? According to his curse, he is unable to say his own name. So remember, in the film, he had to get others to summon him. Okay? There are multiple matches for demonic parasites, including a Taoist belief and a parasitic flatworm. A Taoist belief that 3 demonic parasites or 3 corpses, sanshi, live inside a person's body and try to speed up their death. The parasites are said to enter the body at birth and reside in the head, chest, and abdomen. After the host dies, the parasites are freed and become malevolent ghosts. Schistosoma flatworm. Schistosoma kind of sounds like schizophrenic. Side note, is schizophrenia really just parasitic possession? A parasitic flatworm that can attack people by burrowing into their skin and entering their bloodstream. The larvae, I see why they banned my channel now. Okay, anyway, the larvae of the schistosoma flatworm are microscopic and fork-tailed, and they can be found in the water of some lakes in Senegal. The larvae travel to the liver to mature into adult flukes, and you would literally have to get like wormwood, black walnut hull to get rid of these parasites from your body, okay? But what happens if you don't get these parasites from your body? We'll get into that. Parasites can be found in food and can be transmitted to humans through contaminated food or water. Some common parasites in food include... Wait a minute. Contaminated waters? Y'all remember what happened in Ohio with the big explosion and how all of those waters were contaminated, and then right after people reported seeing demons? Are those two things? Nah. Anyway, let's continue. Parasites can come from the feces of infected humans or animals. Wait a minute. Beelzebub. Lord of Flies. What are flies attracted to again? Okay, part two. However, parasites can be present in semen. Some parasites that have been found in semen include, and then I'll list you the parasites. Parasites are organisms that live in, on, or with another organism called the host. They harm their host by feeding, growing, or multiplying, but they'll need the host to survive. And of course, they have films like the classic Body Snatchers, The Host, and a lot of other films that show you how demon possession or parasitic possession works. Here are the different sigils for Jesus. Now remember, with demons, you have to say their name. You have to summon them. Now, y'all know I can't go extremely deep on these videos because they'll just ban it. So if you want to take this rabbit hole personally even deeper, check out Demonology by King James. Yes, the same King James that wrote the Bible you be studying every Sunday, my G. I'm just going to show you some excerpts from the book. The Temple of Set, founded by Michael Aquino, embraces black magic as a form of self-benefit. Elements of the black mass, where do we hear that often? Dark matter? Anyway, black mass are incorporated into some of the rituals. The formats of black masses vary with different groups. A satanic black mass is conducted for obtaining and raising magical power. Jesus is cursed and Satan is exalted. A blasphemous mass where the altar is a nude woman and the Gigi of the tabernacle is performed. If possible, a real host stolen from a Catholic church is placed in the Vijiji in the midst of reciting distorted psalms with the hot music and all kinds of obscenities, cursing Jesus and honoring Satan. The fake priest ends up having real sex with the women with the host still in the Vijiji. A sexual orgy by the participants follows. Other elements may include drinking urine, drinking blood like you do at church, or wine from a human skull, shouting obscenities in the names of demons. Jesus, oh my God, Jesus. Watch it. Especially Beelzebub, trampling a cross, reciting blasphemous prayers and psalms, and performing other blasphemous acts. Supposedly, there are some practices of infant sacrifice and cannibalism, but these claims are doubtful. Animal sacrifices are more likely. Now, two different things are happening. You got the Church of Satan and you got the Church of Jesus, right? One church tells you to beef with the other. That one tells you to beef with them. They both do the same rituals. When you go to your church, you drink your blood. That's the blood of who? Jesus. When you go to their demon church, you drink the blood. That's the blood of Satan. It's the same thing. Two identical programs serving two different masters. But what do you know about the Democrats and Republicans? Two wings of the same bird, right? Okay. I just wanted to add this in, and of course, this topic can be a whole lecture. Menstrual blood. Menstrual blood, which is linked to the phases of the moon, is particularly potent. The blood of the goddess, also called wine, milk, mead, and wise blood, appears universally in mythologies. It is drunk as a charm for wisdom, fertility, regeneration, immortality, and healing. The blood of Isis, symbolized in ambrosia drink, conferred divinity on pharaohs, according to ancient Taoism. Red yin juice, as menstrual blood was called, conferred long life or immortality. That last passage is pretty interesting, especially the ancient Romans believed that the touch of a menstruating woman blood could rust iron and cloud mirrors. Okay. Necromancy is the practice of magic involving communication with the dead by summoning their spirits as apparitions or visions for the purposes of divination. Now, side note, this appeared to me in a dream last night. When you see an apparition, another thing that you could be seeing is a magnetic hologram. But this isn't for this video. Hopefully I'll get to this topic another day if my channel is still here. Okay, so necromancy comes from necromantia, right? From the post-classical Greek, which means divination through a dead body. Now think, why would you sacrifice a dead animal unless you are trying to summon divination through that dead body? And some would say that this actually happens with human sacrifice as well. Now, another way to summon demons could be through bells. Ask yourself, why were all of those bells destroyed after the World War? Post-war estimates indicated that approximately 175,000 bells were taken from bell towers in Europe, with about 150,000 destroyed during the war. These figures do not include statistics on damage from Allied air raids or Eastern European data, which are incomplete. Now remember, everything here is vibration. Molecular structures are held together by vibrations. Tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, they all use vibrations. Okay? Your pulse, your heartbeat, pulsations, vibrations, synonymous. So using sound to invoke spirits, just like records today can be used to distort a human body. This is why certain records are blessed with certain energies before they are sent out to the public, and then the music that the people listen to literally possess them, and then the result of that is like you see people online that can't stop twerking, or like when they listen to music it literally like rearranges their brain. Okay, so the vibration can turn into possession if infused with magic. But however, those vibrations can also summon certain entities. Now, why are bells located on churches at the bottom of the sigil that's on the top? Now think about what that sigil, the entity that sigil is summoning, and then the use of the bell to summon, evoke the spirit. Remember the certain sigils I told you, and how these sigils you can find on just about every church? Now, in old world churches, mercury and copper were also used to harness ether, wireless technology, and that power was used to power entire towns, villages, or whatever. Okay, now who are you summoning with wireless technology, with wireless energy? A clue would be, what sigil from the astrological wheel I told you earlier, what sigil deals with electronics directly? All right, let's continue. Actually, let me not leave you hanging. I'm talking about Mercury, right? And Mercury rules over the sixth house, which deals with your health. Side note, Mercury was the only deity that could go between Hades and Zeus. Electricity. You see lightning coming from the ground, you see lightning coming from the sky reaching down to Hades, right? Now, that's important because food can be used as a carrying device for parasites. I'm probably not going to be able to fit all of this into the rest of this video, but let's see what we can get through. Carbon found in soil is primarily stored as soil organic carbon. The book of Revelation cryptically asserts 666 to be the man's number, or the number of a man. Neutral carbon -12, or any carbon atom, has 6 electrons with a total negative charge of 6e negative, orbiting a nucleus with a total positive charge of 6e plus, so that the total net charge is 0, going back to that 1 and 0. Carbon is the only nonmetal that conducts electricity when it is graphite. Y'all remember my lectures on graphene oxide, right? And how it's being used today? Soils are electric current conductors. Earth batteries can produce a charge of about 1 to 5 volts depending on the construction and type of soil used. Demeter was the god of agriculture and the daughter of the titan Kronos. The sun goes to Kronos often. Now you know these sigils control the personality, the 12 different personalities that make up a human. What you don't know are the other sigils that are being invoked that are not included on the main astrological wheel. Now, the soil can be used for electricity to go down to a seed. That seed then turns into a tree or whatever it's coded to. But however, that food can be used for parasites to get into you. A quick side note: if you don't get rid of the parasites, they can go through your semen, and you can bring down a demon child through the ether, all through possession.
Parasitic infection part 3. Now, let me preface this with saying if you do not understand, overstand, or understand what I'm saying in this video, that's perfectly fine. This is a rabbit hole that might be too deep for some people, so please bring a torch or a flashlight and watch previous lectures about demons, orbs, plasmoids. All right, let's get into it. So this is the sandworm from Beetlejuice, right? This is a flathead tapeworm parasite. So although if you ask AI, they will tell you that this sandworm is not a parasite, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this sandworm could be a representation of a parasite. Even Beetlejuice turns himself into like this worm snake-like creature. And you know Beetlejuice is a demon, alluding to demons being parasites. Even in the Dietz home in Beetlejuice the film, it has many glowing spears to represent spirit orbs in the presence of spirits in the area. So those glowing orbs that you see in Beetlejuice could represent these plasmoid entities. Now, I believe that this is noteworthy, so I just wanted to add it in. Here are some other examples of parasites that you might not be aware of. And ask yourself if these parasites serve as beneficial to the human body. What does that mean about the human body? Okay, lion's mane mushroom is a parasite. Poplar mushrooms are parasites. The elm oyster mushrooms are parasites. Chaga mushrooms are parasites. I love these though. Lobster mushrooms are parasites. Honey fungus mushrooms are considered to be parasitic. Caterpillar mushrooms are parasites. And as mentioned in another video, fetuses have parasitic mannerisms. The placenta acts like a parasite by using a cloaking device to avoid detection by the mother's immune system. It also contains phosphocholine, a molecule used by parasitic worms to escape the host immune system. And as a review, parasitic-like behaviors. Some behaviors of a fetus and its placenta can be described as parasitic, such as avoiding rejection by the mother, influencing the mother's metabolism, and diverting blood and nutrients. Here's an article from Reading University. The placenta really does act like a parasite, Reading research suggests, University of Reading. The human fetus and placenta have a different genotype from the mother. The fetus has been described before as acting in a parasitic way. It avoids rejection by the mother and exerts considerable influence over her metabolism for its own benefit, in particular, diverting blood and nutrients. Now, it would appear the similarities go much further. Although the mode of attachment of phosphocholine PC is different in the mammalian placenta, its presence is startling. When we saw this, our immediate instinct was to look at other proteins in the placenta. So far, from what we have seen, it appears a large number of them possess the cell surface molecule, which cloaks them from the host immune system. So then I naturally pondered, if the fetus is parasitic in nature, when does the soul enter into the body? Here are the different answers from Aristotle, Yogananda, and so on. But I found the last highlighted portion to be noteworthy. Other beliefs about when the soul enters the body include when the child takes his first breath after birth, when the brain and nervous system form, when the brain shows the first detectable sign of activity, when the fetus can survive outside the uterus. And during the completion of reading that article, intuitively it led me to this article from Medical News Today. Parasitic worms may influence fertility, study finds. In a new study published in Journal Science, researchers reveal how parasitic worms can influence a woman's likelihood of becoming pregnant, with one particular species found to boost chances of pregnancy. Around 70% of the women had helminth infection, according to the researchers, and women from China have an average of 9 children in their lifetime. The team found that the women who were infected with roundworm were more likely to become pregnant, while those infected with hookworm had a lower chance of pregnancy. Roundworm infection reduced the length of intervals between births over the course of reproductive lifetime. The results reveal while hookworm infection increased birth intervals. As a result, the researchers estimated hookworm-infected women would have 3 fewer children than unaffected women during the course of their reproductive lifespan, while roundworm-infected women would have 2 additional children. You can pause to read this little quote by Professor Blackwell. Important side note. Now, don't take offense to this, it just is what it is. Now, in Beetlejuice, like I said, Beetlejuice was a demon. He turned himself into a worm, symbolizing this parasitic worm thing. And he was able to get Lydia Dietz pregnant without having intercourse, like an immaculate conception. Now, if there was a being named Jesus, then he was a benevolent demon. Now, I just want to bring you back to the etymology of demon. Like I said, please bring a flashlight into this rabbit hole because now we're about to dive a bit deeper. Demon. Noun, 1200. An evil spirit, malignant, supernatural being. An incubus, a devil. From Latin, daemon. Spirit. From Greek, daemon. Deity, divine, power. Lesser god, guiding spirit. Guiding spirit. Let's stop there and let me take you to another stop on this rabbit hole journey. The ancient Greek daemon originally referred to a lesser deity or guiding spirit. Keep that in mind, such as daemons of ancient Greek religion and mythology. Further down, daemons were possibly seen as the souls of men of the Golden Age, tutelary deities, or the forces of fate. Oh, it's 11:11. Anyway, in Plato's Symposium, the priestess Diotima teaches Socrates that love is not a deity but rather a great daemon. She goes on to explain that everything daemonian is between divine and mortal, and she describes daemons as interpreting and transporting human things to the gods and divine things to men. Entreaties and sacrifices from below, and ordinances and requittals from above. Socrates claimed to have a daemonian that frequently warned him in the form of a voice against mistakes but never told him what to do. Sounds a lot like intuition, doesn't it? But keep that in mind as we go on. The Platonic Socrates, however, never refers to the daemonian as daemon. It always referred to as in a personal something or sign. By this term, he seems to indicate the true nature of the human soul, his newfound self-consciousness. Paul Shorey sees the daemonian not as an inspiration but as a kind of spiritual tact, checking Socrates from any act opposed to his true moral and intellectual interest. Socrates does wrong because he does not believe in gods whom the city believes, but introduces other demonic beings or demonic beings. Burkert notes that a special being watches over each individual, a daemon who has obtained the person at his birth by lot. It is an idea which we find in Plato undoubtedly from earlier tradition. By lot. Well, we go back to the etymology of demon. One's genius, lot, or fortune. And if you have a demon that attains you at the moment of conception, as mentioned before, as an astrologer, when reading a natal chart, there's something called a pars fortune. It's also known as lot of fortune or pars fortuna. In Hellenistic astrology, the daemon is an entity that played a central role in the diagnosis of destinies in individual lives. The daemon was a multivalent entity that could appear in many different contexts, including as spirit, demon, personality, destiny, power, genius, or fate. In a horoscope, the daemon played a benign astrological role in the 5th and 11th places or modern houses. By analyzing these places, it was possible to identify potential areas of good fortune. The demon was also an intermediary between humans and the gods and was considered a fragment of a greater god, such as Zeus or nature, that was placed within each human being. Wow, I'm already run out of time, so I'm going to have to make another part. Parasitic infection, part 4. Please look to your left and to your right. Make sure that none of your partners has been lost in this rabbit hole. In the New Testament, original Greek text, the word daemon was used, and by the early 2nd century AD, the Greek word had come to be associated with the Judeo-Christian concept of an evil spirit. Back to the etymology, and this part here is just a bit of reiteration, but it's needed. The usual ancient Greek sense, supernatural agent or intelligence lower than a god, ministering spirit, is attested in English from 1560s and is sometimes written daemon or daemon, sounds the same, for purposes of distinction, meaning destructive or hideous person. It's from 1610s as an evil agency personified, and then in parentheses says rum. Let's pause right here and dig deeper into that. Let's unpack that. Alcohol, a noun, 1540s, highlighted section. Paracelsus, 1493/1541. The end of Celsius, Paracelsus sounds like Celsius, that drink. Anyway, Paracelsus used the word to refer to a fine powder, but also a volatile liquid. By 1670s, it was being used in English for any sublimated substance, the pure spirit of anything, including liquids. Now it's from the Arabic alcohol or coal, like the clothing store, Kohl's. Never mind. But alcohol. So it just means, right, like spirits. Now, what do they use spirits to define? Well, if you just type in spirits in any search bar, it's going to bring you up to alcohol, spirits. It's a reason why they're called spirits, okay? Here's a quote I found on Quora. I thought I should add it in. Does alcoholic intoxication permit demonic spirits to enter you more easily? And somebody answered, yes, much so. As a recovered alcoholic and a drug addict, I know this to be extremely true. I started doing drugs and drinking at the age of 11. I've actually seen demons many times throughout my addiction years. I've seen them in and around my husband of 27 years. He's an alcoholic. Here's an article from Medium written by J.L. Michael. It is said that the word alcohol comes from the Arabic alcohol, which means body-eating spirit. It is the worst drug in the world and one that is legal. There is a deliberate reason why alcohol is so easily accessible and other psychoactive substances aren't. Like if you go into any neighborhood where it is mostly populated by people that look like me, you're going to find fried chicken or alcohol, and now this contaminated marijuana joints. There's a reason for that. And look at the crime rates when people are intoxicated. Look what alcohol makes people do. And why your favorite celebrity always comes out with a new alcohol brand. They're being prompted to do that. Anyway, let's continue. As mentioned in the other video, when you are born, there is a demon that takes like responsibility of you, and this can mean your personality, your fortune, your destiny in life, your fate, right? Now, 3 corpses or 3 worms are a Taoist psychological belief that demonic creatures live inside the human body. Side note, 3 corpses sounds like 3-body problem. That is the belief that these demonic creatures live inside the human body and they seek to hasten the death of their host. These 3 supernatural parasites allegedly enter the person at birth and reside in the 3 Dacian energy centers, respectively, located within the head, intuition, pineal gland, anyway, chest, abdomen, like gut feeling. After their human host dies, they are freed from the body and become malevolent ghosts, like the Phantom Zone. The pernicious three corpses worms work to harm their host health and fate by initiating sicknesses, inviting other disease, causing agents into the body, and reporting their host transgressions to the gods. Sounds a lot like Socrates, the intermediary between the gods. And anyway, the three corpses are supposed to keep records of their host misdeeds, ascend to tie in heaven bi-monthly on the night of Chinese sexagenary, the 57th of the 60-day cycle, while the host is sleeping, and file reports to Seeming. They are directors of destiny, who deducts a certain number of days from the person's life for each misdeed. Since the evil spirits feed upon decaying matter produced by grains being digested in the intestines, what is alcohol made from? The practice of bigu, abstinence from grains and cereals, is the first steps towards expelling them. Even though cereals are like the first thing that they promote to children. Now, I started to think, are parasites since I connected them to demons, could they be considered extraterrestrial aliens? And AI answered, yes, parasites can be considered alien when they invade new areas and establish themselves there. For sake of time, you can pause to read the rest. Now, going back to this part before I leave off, like I mentioned in the other video, roundworms, parasites can, incline women to become pregnant. Now, parasites can be present in semen, right? At the moment of birth, there's these things called zinc sparks. It's like a little spark of electricity at the moment of conception. I think that's important. But these parasites, if they're present in semen, they can transfer through pregnancy, especially if they encourage a woman to get pregnant. And these could transfer over to this belief of these parasites being present, right, in the body, and especially as fetuses have been known to show parasitic behaviors. Have you ever stopped to think, where does your intuition come from? Where does these thoughts come from? In science fiction, parasites are sometimes depicted as extraterrestrial aliens or unnatural beings. They are often portrayed as distasteful and sometimes horrible. Parasites as drivers and passengers of human-mediated biological invasions. Parasites, or the lack of them, can potentially affect the invasion success of their host, but parasites can themselves be an alien species. Important side note, the beginning of alcohol. Here's the etymology, sometimes rendered in English as El, Elohim, Israel. El can also be connected to Saturn. Alchemy, algebra. Now, when I think of algebra, I think of algorithms. Now, at the bottom of the etymology for demon, you can see that the demon of Socrates is mentioned, a divine principle or inward oracle. The demon star is Algol, Algol. That looks very familiar. Algol, variable star, Beta Persei, in the constellation Perseus. I don't have enough time to talk about Perseus and Medusa, but just know it's all connected, okay? Mount Olympus. Anyway, literally the demon from Arabic Algol. Algol, literally from the demon from Arabic Algol. Okay, the demon Sigul. It corresponds in modern representations of the constellation to the Gorgon's head Perseus holds, but probably it was so called because it visibly varies in brightness every 3 days, which sets it apart from the bright stars. The computer language is a contraction of algorithmic language. Algorithm, computer algorithms, artificial intelligence. Hello? Demons, AI. I better find a stopping point before I get banned. Worth mentioning, Elon Musk did We Robot presentation on 10-10-24 in numerology. This is 10-10-8 equals 10, binary code. In the binary counting system, that number translates to 42. The ancient Egyptians believed that 42 demons were present at the judgment of the soul. In ancient Egyptian religion, the 42 negative confessions were a list of questions asked of deceased persons making their journey through the underworld. 42 is the number with which God creates the universe in Kabbalistic tradition. Homework, look into Coral Castle. Again, AI, algorithm, demons. Satanic gematria of Parasite is 369. The 369 algorithm is based on the law of attraction. Bringing in your lot, your fortune, demon. That is all. Be well.
5D Mystery School.